The following newly released video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a chance to back the fuck up.
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz. In a newly released video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man, with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one: concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
It's a chance to back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly, picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tied me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit my knee, his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, see, what's wrong with it? There's no such thing as an improper way. I know the law. I know the law. I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration? To profile, I use the seatbelt as a reason to profile.
To be fair, take out your keys.
Hey, you can record me. For what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What are you call the supervisor? I want to do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah?
And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we are getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardez Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 and 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they can never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Mic check, mic check. This is West Wednesday, number 419. The West Coalition, along with Tawanda Jones, has been fighting for the justice for Tyrone West for the past 419 weeks. We are also fighting for justice for all victims of police violence. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. So, thank you guys for tuning in. And as my brother Ben just stated, this is West Wednesday, week 419, day 2,933. And that's a very long time. And as you saw the video that we just played, and I pray that you guys hold on to the end and see part 2 of it if you haven't saw it before. We need these killer cops prosecuted in a cell block. There's no choice but to reopen these cases, because for one, they shouldn't have never been closed. They shouldn't have never been closed, and that's the biggest issue, is that they can actually close someone's case, but you can't close this hurt and pain in our hearts. We leave families behind hurting and suffering and pain, daily pain every day, without having their loved ones here. And in case you guys don't know, real quickly, I'm gonna just talk about my brother Tyrone West, and then I'm gonna go on to my special guest tonight, my panelist. So my brother Tyrone West was an unarmed man that was brutally executed in Baltimore City on July the 18th, 2013. And literally 8 years we've been out here. My brother was pretty much the first officer that you see in the video, Officer Ruiz. He and Chapman were the first two that pulled my brother's vehicle over for no reason. Actually, it was my vehicle. He was borrowing my vehicle to give a young lady a ride. His life ended for giving a young lady a ride. Literally, he had just picked me up from work. He worked all day, and I let him borrow my vehicle because while we were getting our dinner at a local restaurant, he got a call from a young lady that he barely knew, and she was stranded, and she wanted to go to her mom's house. So he's like, hey, sis, you mind if I borrow your vehicle? And for me, you know, saying yes, okay, sure, that took a father away, it took a brother away, it took my best friend away. He was a father figure to me. He was my family's everything. He was nothing to Ruiz, Chapman, and all 17 of those murderers. But he was everything to the West family, everything. He was the first grandchild. He was an artist. He was a hard worker. He believed in God. And he was taken away from my family for what should have been a traffic stop. And literally, I was invited to an event the other night, and through my warrior brother, J. Wendell Gordon, who invited me to this event. And unfortunately, it wasn't one to celebrate. It was about my dear sister, daughter, Corinne Gaines, who was executed in her family's home, and her baby son was shot in the face as well. And the crazy part is they're trying to get their money that was rewarded to their family, and we have racist people that'll say, you know, Johnny O will say, you know what? No, the jurors got it wrong. So regardless if the highest courts said give the family the money, we're not going to give the family the money. We're not going to do it. We're going to do what we want to do. They wasn't supposed to get it. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's not about the income, it's about the outcome. The outcome is Rhonda will no longer have Corinne Gaines there at the end of the family table. She's raising her daughter. She was, she was basically taken away from her 2 children, murdered in her home for a traffic stop. The reason why I brought up the traffic stop, we had our state's attorney had the audacity to show up, and the only reason why I didn't call her out, because that was a place and time for everything. I wasn't there to call anybody out. I was there to be in solidarity and support and love with my beautiful sister, Rhonda. But now I'm on my own platform. I will call our state's attorney out. I will call her out. I vomited in my mouth when I heard her speak, and she had the nerve to say, for the cameras, this wasn't no heartfelt, oh, I'm feeling, this was for the cameras. Let's be crystal clear. This was for the cameras. These politicians, they don't give a damn about our family. They don't give a damn about our family. All they care about is the spotlight, their paycheck, and they live on while we suffer in pain. She had the audacity to say that a traffic stop should not result in someone being murdered. And I wanted to say so bad, like, you knowing this, and you know that my brother was pulled over, executed by 17 killer cops, and you did absolutely nothing. And we know that there's no statute limitation on murder. We know that they go after serial killers 30, 40 years later. We know this. But yet you said this didn't happen on your tenure. But you said if I got new evidence and I presented it to you, then we can sit down and have a conversation. We met with you 3 going on 4 years ago, and you never got back to me. How disrespectful was that? Shame on you. And then for you to actually talk about justice, you sitting up there going after an innocent man, Keith Davis Jr. Let's be clear. Keith Davis Jr. was the first person gunned down after Freddie Gray was executed. And that's why at this event, I had to say Keith Davis Jr.'s name. I felt compelled because he is a victim of police brutality, but it goes further. He is a victim of a persecution, not a prosecution. This is personal. For you to actually go, this man is looking at 6 trials, and they keep getting overturned. But instead of you saying, you know what, let me get accountability for Kevin Jones' family. Kevin Jones' family, they need accountability. They need accountability. They need to find out whoever killed poor Kevin Jones. This was a hard-working black young man going to work and executed. But for you to try to pin it on the wrong man because Baltimore City won't say, you know what, you are the first person we tried to execute after Freddie Gray. We don't want another uprising. So guess what? We're going to, not only because we didn't kill you, this is what they'll do. When they don't kill you, they will bury you alive. We don't want to wait till 50 years from now and then they're like, oh, well, you know what? Keith Davis Jr. was innocent. Now his wife Kelly done raised their 4 beautiful children by themselves. They done graduated, probably a grandfather, and then now you want to come back and say all this stuff. It's so much stuff. Like anybody, and I'm just urging you guys, please, please. And the crazy part, I had to actually, I'm gonna tell the world this for the first time, and I had to actually trade and accountability for my brother by Marilyn Mosley office, because if I was to talk about Keith Davis Jr., that would, somebody told me, and there was somebody close to Marilyn Mosley, told me that, hey, just chill about talking about Keith Davis Jr., because we talk about him, it's nothing she go. Murder is murder, and I'm going to talk about it, and going after the wrong person is wrong, and I'm going to talk about it. So if you don't prosecute these killer cops, guess what? We have undisputed evidence, and they will get prosecuted, whether it's by your hands or by somebody else. I'm not asking you to do me no favor. I'm asking you to do your damn job. That's it. So enough for me. When my brother was executed on July the 18th, 2013, and from that moment, I literally died with him. This is the new Tawana Jones. Like I was telling my 2 beautiful sisters here, that beautiful smile that I had, I used to smile with every picture. If you look back at any of my photos before July the 18th, I had a natural, beautiful smile. Now everybody's like, why you look so serious on your pictures? That smile is gone forever. Even though I love living, I love my beautiful children, I love my family, I love life, but that smile, those killer cops took that smile from me. They took that smile from me, and me being me, I cannot be phony. Like I said, that's why I had to, in due respect, still say Keith Davis Jr. family. I don't give a damn if she say, and that was personal for me and her. Because even if you're not going to give me accountability, because I'm saying Keith Davis Jr. name, guess what? I'm going to keep screaming Keith Davis Jr. name, because that is wrong. This man will be the 2nd person in American history ever tried that many times. Something is wrong with that picture. So I urge you guys, if you pray, pray. If you just a thinker and you want to keep him in thought, keep Keith Davis Jr. in thought. This man needs to come home, because guess what? You can be a Keith Davis Jr. You could be a Tyrone West. You could be any of the victims that loved ones are here to present tonight. You could be a Timothy Flemings. Easily, you could be assassinated in front of your children. Timothy Flemings was assassinated in front of his children, and the only thing they could say, oh, he had a knife in his hand. Well, what about the serial killers that actually murder somebody and you walk into accountability and they done kill people they got AKs with them and everything, and you're able to take that AK away from them and you kill them, just like you kill Corinne Gaines. Not only are we demanding that you give her family what's owed to her, and that's a monetary settlement, we demand that you reopen that case and charge Ruby Royce with bloody murder and charge him with attempted murder for trying to kill poor Cody, who don't have his mother 5 years later. This is disgusting. This is the trauma that we have to live through. No child should live without their mother. No mother should live without their child. No sister should not live without their brother. This is horrible, especially from bloody murder. And we know, and let's be clear, I know for a fact that community violence, police brutality, guess what, baby? It's the highway of hell. They're intertwined, but at the same time, it's a big difference. And the big difference is when we kill each other, if we go to trial and things like that, you may never see the streets ever again. But if you're a cop and you kill somebody, you get something called qualified immunity. You get all that. You get all that. You get the luxuries of qualified immunity. We don't have that. We don't even know what the world that is. And so it's real. That's the difference. But at the same time, it's horrible. Every night we're hearing about community violence, and somebody came to the rally yesterday, and our heart went out, and I'm glad that the family that they addressed it were able to say, you know what, the city sucks. But at the end of the day, we are all in this together, and it's just sad. I wouldn't wish anybody into this pain, anybody into this club. And tonight, I have two special guests. I have Miss Tanika and Miss Lakeisha. And it's horrible. Miss Tanika, I'm going to start with her because she lost her only child, an 18-year-old. And I just got finished crying before I got on here. And that's why we took a couple minutes and we were late because I had to get myself together. Like I told her, I get scared and sick and sad if my children are sick. Like it makes me sick. I'm like, oh my God, are they okay? I'm freaking out, panicking. I wouldn't ever want to imagine how it feels to lose a child. So my heart completely goes out to her and her family, and we're going to support her. And I want you guys to support her in every which way that you can. She lost her only son, Fred, like handsome young man. They took a king away from this world, a young man that had a promising future ahead of him, and all he was trying to do was save somebody's life. You get your life snatched away by an off-duty killer cop while you're trying to save somebody's goddamn life. You get your life snatched away by 17 bloody murderers from giving a young lady a rock, all because you wanted to do a nice deed. And then my other sister lost her brother, gunned down. And then they don't even tell you the killer cop's name. You know why? Because Leopold is real. They're covering and hiding the killer cop's name that murdered her brother in cold blood. Imagine if you're just in your vehicle and you fall asleep. The safest place you ain't gonna, I do it all the time. You know, like let me pull over, I'm tired, and go to sleep type thing. Imagine you waking up and batons are busting out your window, and then followed by that a gunshot. This is the discussion tonight. It's horrible. Again, it is real. This is our reality. So I ask you and I urge you, until we get these cases reopened, until we stop these killer cops, it's like I told you, the only solution is killer cops and cell blocks. That's it. It ain't no in between. We can reform it. And yeah, we do need to change the laws, but we got so many laws on the book. Yes, we do need to get rid of the Leopold, all of that. All that stuff's got to go. I'm with reforms. I'm with all that. But the biggest change is putting these killer cops in the cell blocks. So no further ado, I'm going to bring on our beautiful sister, Tanika. Mic check.
Mic check.
Tanika, you can unmute your mic.
I apologize. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate you. And you are also in my thoughts and prayers. As I stated, I understand what it's like not having a brother as well, because my only sibling was murdered in 2009. A cold case. So, and he left behind 2 beautiful children. So I sympathize with you and I understand wholeheartedly how it feels to lose a sibling. He was actually my older brother, only sibling. Fred Cox, my only child. Thank you. Fred was not the type to attend funerals. On my birthday, October 25th of 2020, Fred called my husband and I, and he was outraged. He said, "Mama, they killed my homeboy," and he said his name. I didn't, recognize the name. I asked for a picture. I was like, I remember him. So on November 8th, Fred did not, the funeral was, I think, maybe 1 or 2. Fred, he stayed home most of that morning. He took his shower. Him and I was texting back and forth from our bedrooms. And he left and he came back and he was like, "Mama, open the door, open the door." And I jumped up, opened the door thinking that something had happened. He was like, "I'm late for the funeral." And I'm like, "You don't even go to funerals, but whatever." So he went to the funeral. From my understanding, he was in the church. So the off-duty detective knew exactly who he was. He was inside the church as well. From my understanding, I had just texted my son maybe 4 minutes before he was murdered. From my understanding is Fred was in his car after the funeral, and the guy that was riding with him left the door open. Fred asked the funeral home director to close his door because he had a plate in his hand. She could describe everything to seeing my no seatbelt light flashing. She said she could feel the wind, so she knew my car was on and running. So she said they were sitting there and they were talking. And again, they're still at the church. On the opposite side of the church, she said it felt like a warning shot. And they thought somebody was shooting firecrackers. She said, but after what she felt was a warning shot, it kept going. Remind you, Fred is in his car, Fred is eating, Fred is ready to leave. Fred jumped out his car when they realized that they were shooting on the opposite side of the church. And the funeral home director, 12-year-old son, was standing outside as the shooting was going. And he was telling them to run, go in the church. He was holding the door. The funeral home director said she thought he fell. She said, "But somebody was chasing us." That cop was chasing them into the church.
It's 7
He
o'clock.
murdered my baby inside the church. He shot him clean in the back twice. One in the back of the neck, and one in the back of the thigh. For 10 days, my husband and I did not know that there was any possibility that our child was murdered by an officer. So we had a private funeral. Of course, they questioned us. And on day number 10, my husband and I was calling to the office, and they said that all bullets from Fred was from the service weapon of a detective that was out of his jurisdiction. So then things really began to get a little different, because for 10 whole days 10 whole days. Y'all had us thinking that my son was killed by a gang shootout. 10 whole days. Not one, but 10. But as a parent, you start questioning, like, I really know who Fred was. Fred wasn't about all that shooting and gang banging and all that. Fred was about taking care of his kids. Fred was about making money. And I knew that my son was not affiliated in a gang. So the God force within me knew that something was not right. But I couldn't put my hand on it until day 10. My son, at the funeral, they read a letter. Again, I don't know that my son is killed by a cop. It's from a 12-year-old little boy. His name is Tavares. And in that letter, he says, I thank your son for saving my mom and I. Because had not he jumped out the car and opened the door, we wouldn't be here today. He said, your son is my hero. He said, maybe if I wasn't there, you would still have your son. Because he wouldn't have jumped out his car to save my life. So once we found out that this officer killed my son, they never released his name. I contacted the DA. Her name is Avery Crump. She's a black lady, African American. And she promised me, she said, Miss Shannon, as soon as I get any information, this was in January, I will contact you. Well, think about a parent that's sitting around waiting on this magic call for 6 months. I think month 5 she called and said she was giving us a courtesy call. What the freak is a courtesy call? My child is dead. What is going on? Who is this man that murdered my child in the church? Who is he? Can somebody tell me who he is? Can somebody show me what he looked like? Because I'm afraid to go out my house. I'm afraid somewhere and sit down and eat because I could be sitting at the table with this man. Who is this man that murdered my son? I never got an answer. So, June, she called my husband and I, said that they have come to a verdict. And they wanted to have a meeting with us. I went in very confident in knowing that this murderer was going to go to prison, because had it been my child that pulled that trigger, he would be in prison. My baby would never see the street. But let me fast forward back. In the cops said he had a gun. Where is the gun? So if you saw that my son had a gun, why didn't you retreat? Why didn't you confiscate that gun? For your life. He's dead. He's down. Why didn't you make sure this gun was safe so nobody can use it? Nobody can pick it up. He did not have a gun. Autopsy, homicide, drugs, no alcohol in his system, no gunpowder on his hand, no gun oils on his hand, no gun residue. So my son was not shooting. He chased my son into a church instead of running to see who was shooting in the air, because this beautiful church, they did not lose one window. All the shots was on the steeple at the top of the church. So they were shooting in the air. Third, if I recall that being the date, DA Avery Crump looked at me and said, well, we, the grand jury, will not prosecute. We will not indict the officer. Again, who is this officer? His name. Say, please tell me who he is. No, ma'am, I will release his name whenever I do my statement, is what she told me. I said, DA Crump, you have 2 sons yourself. Imagine this being one of your kids. She said, I sympathize. I said, where's the gun? There was no gun found. Autopsy reads there's no gun oils, no gun residue, nothing. And I looked her in her face. I said, so you telling me that my child died for no reason? She shrugged her shoulders. So this man is still walking around a murderer. I still walk around scared. 3 days after they determined that they was not going to indict this no-name murderer, my son's father died of a heart attack. He sent me a message. He said, I can't take it. He said, you are the stronger of the 2. And I understand. I will make sure everything is handled. You just, you sit in the background. I got this. My husband and I, we got this. We will make sure everything's taken care of. 3 days after this decision, we have had about 4 rallies. My son's father never spoke a word at a rally. At the rally where the press conference, whenever they went to tell the people that they were not going to charge this man, again, I still did not know his name. My son's father said, I have committed many crimes. And it was like everybody moved because we're not used to him saying anything. He said, I have committed many crimes in my life, and I had to be held accountable for every crime that I committed. Why is this man not having to be held accountable? And it was so shocking because he never spoke. 3 days later, and it was probably maybe an hour before I get the call. He had inboxed me and he was crying, and I was like, are you okay? Like, you need to get some counseling. I'm not afraid to tell anybody. I see a psychiatrist, I see a counselor. I'm having a rough time. My husband, we both see a psychiatrist, a counselor. And he was just crying and crying. He said, I can't. He said, Tanika, I can't handle this. About an hour later, they called me and told me that he was dead. So, here I am. My son, my only son, is murdered in a place where I know he thought he was safe. I know my baby thought he was safe in church because he was raised in church. I know he thought he was safe. They said the officer, after he shot my baby, he just kept shooting. He let off every round in his gun. The little boy said he could feel the wind from the bullet flying by him. They could see the sparkle from the bullet hitting the door of the church. And for you not to charge this murderer is very heartbreaking. I have 2 grandkids that I have to explain, where's my dad at?
Turn that off,
What do I
please.
say? How do you explain to a child that they're not coming back? It's hard to explain. They have traumatized me mentally, physically. I'm not okay, and I will not pretend to be okay. I won't. We have started a foundation, FCLM, Fred Cox Life Matters Foundation. And our biggest, Fred was a giving person. His family house that caught on fire about a month before he was murdered. And they lost everything. So happened one of the kids was the same size as my son. He came home and said, Mama, give him all my clothes. And Fred, what are you gonna wear? If you give him all your clothes, you gotta keep some. He said, I can wear the same outfit for 3 days. These people that lost everything, Mom. Mom, just give it to him. I backed him up, and my cousin came and got him. He made a mat for a homeless person out of trash bag. And he kept that mat. I kept saying, Fred, when are you gonna get the homeless person the mat? He said, when God leads you to the right homeless person. A few days before he was murdered, God led him to bless somebody with that mat. With our foundation, we have Fight for Fred Friday. Every Friday we protest. Last Friday we went to the county where the officer is from, and 2 of my supporters got locked up. Of course, we got them out, but they're just so racist. It's ridiculous. Racism is very thick in the South. And I always hear that this church had 12 cameras, and the only camera that wasn't working is the camera where my son was murdered. And I have had little to none support from any church. The owner, the preacher of that church, he never sent a flower. The congregation never sent a card. He never contacted me to even say, I'm sorry this happened to your child at my church. Although I didn't do it, I apologize for this happening. He's never attended a press conference, a rally, or nothing. My son's dad said he put 18 balloons on the pole at the church. And he said he rolled by the next day and they cut him down.
Oh my God.
We set up a memorial in front of the church. They took it down. Like, what more can you do? This man took my soul. This man took my soul. That was my only child. Why are y'all still bothering me? What's wrong with the memorial? It's so bad. I can't go to church. I'm very active in my church. It's hard for me to even think about stepping my foot in a church because I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. His organization, they do have a GoFundMe. We also have a Cash Out. It's $ Fred Mom 713, and we use those funds to give back to the community. We just did a donation to the Shriners Club to buy, I think it was 200 kids earbuds. My niece, she is 10 years old. She cherished every move Fred made. She's now seeing a counselor because it's hard for her to deal with it. And she was chosen to fly to Ohio to speak on Fred's case. So I'm honored for that. And my husband, phenomenal. Nightmares when I'm waking up, screaming, yelling. Phenomenal. I tell my mama all the time, if I was him, I would have been left me because I don't know if I could do it. Because my rough night was hell. And Fred shouldn't be dead. Then they made, he's in the game. He could have been in 15 games. And you know, I told him, I said, yeah, he in the game, but I'm his big homie. Because I told him what to do. You're going to go your ass to school. You're going to graduate. You're not going to lay up in my house. He did what I told him to do. And that's what big homies do. So yeah, he was in the game. My game. He went to school and he graduated. Because he knew his big homie didn't play that. Very well mannered. Very well mannered. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. People inbox me. I seen his son at the grocery store and my hands were full. And he jumped out the car and opened the door for me. But this murderer is still walking around with his family, living life like he did not kill my baby in that church. He killed my baby in the safest place. He killed my baby in church.
I'm sorry. I don't even have words to say. I've been crying and I'm just so sorry. I mean, it's to the point I feel like, and as much as I love church and God and all that, I feel like that particular church needs to be shut down. Because everybody that go to church ain't godly. And they always said, too, the devil went to church. And for church to do you and your family that type of injustice and that type of, I could imagine, especially how my church is so supportive to me, and even that the love that my church and my bishop is supported to my whole family. Like, you got some churches that won't even, because their loved one didn't go to their church, they won't even let you have a funeral, they'll charge you. My church that buried a few of my loved ones that didn't even attend the church just because I attended, just because Bishop Wilson support me. So I couldn't imagine that type of church. That is horrible, but it goes beyond that. And I just feel like your son is an angel. He is an angel. He is an angel. He was an angel on earth, and he still remains an angel with that kind of good heart. And just know that he didn't suffer, because we serve a good God. He did not suffer. And it's just so sad. And your son, that horrible thing happened. Unfortunately, for reasons that we don't even want to accept or even know yet, but it definitely happened for a reason. Your son is an angel, like, and anybody that can support my queen right now, just support her, like, and the thing is, they're still giving back through hurt, trauma, and pain. This queen is able to come in here and still be able to breathe. Like, only did she lose her only brother. She lost her only son, and then she lost her son's father. Like, people don't understand the big nightmare and pain that's associated. Like, people don't really know until you lose somebody, until it's you. That type of pain can put you straight into a crazy house, to make you lose your mind, talking to flies, and I mean, doing all type of stuff. It's so, I can't explain it. That type of pain not only makes you to be suicidal, it makes you homicidal. Because you're taking out loved ones and you just, and then let me ask you a question real quick, and I want to check in for myself, because I know we probably got questions and comments, but I have two questions I'm going to ask you. The question number one is, did you ever find out the killer cop name?
Yes, the district attorney released it. She wouldn't speak. She released the a article, and it mentioned his name. So now I know his name.
Okay, I'm glad at least now you know his name. And then also, I wanted to just repeat your cash app, so that way, like, if anybody want to give, even if it's $1, $2, $5, this is going back into the communities. Like, all the money in the world can never bring back her son and take this hurt and pain off of the sister, but she's doing this foundation stuff, and she's doing it for us, too. She's doing it for us, too. It's cash app Fred Mom 13. Is that correct?
Fred's mom, FREDS.
Oh, Fred's mom. Okay, Fred's mom.
Fred's mom, 713.
Okay, Fred's mom. Okay, 13. Got you. Thank you for that. Yes. So do you want to share anything before we go to check in with Marcellus to see if we got any comments or questions? Do you want to share anything of this?
No, you can go ahead.
No, and I thank you, sister. You got my personal cell phone number. Blow me up, queen. Like, you just need to talk or cry in the middle of the night. You need to pray. You need anything. You got a sister for life. A sister in me. I got your back, sis. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much.
I'm so just like, people don't even know, like, I have to literally, like, most people, like, when you get quiet at night, you just want to hear peace and quiet at night. I have to listen to some type of music to unwind my mind, or like TV real low key, but I have to hear something because I feel like my mind can't unwind. So like I said, any time of the night you need to call me, send me a text, whatever. I'm here for you. And just checking in. Marcellus, do we have any questions, comments? Mic check.
We have quite a few comments. So I'll start with YouTube. AC Britt says, it's so sad week after week seeing these beautiful queens in pain because of racist cops. Sending your entire family love, and he sounds like an amazing young man. And over on Facebook, Charlene says, say their names, Corinne Gaines and Keith Davis Jr. Jason Hicks says, in qualified immunity. Bruce says, absolutely. Mo versus Monique says, prayers for you and your family. Jason says, sending strength and prayers. Chandelier Hargrove says, love you, sis. Tanera Latisse says, praying for you. Bruce says, sending prayers. And Charlene says, this is sad. The church didn't even send any kind of empathy. And Jason Hicks says, Fred is a hero. Mic check.
Mic check. Yes, and definitely Fred is a hero. Like, oh my God, he is. Like, I got like goosebumps. Literally, he is such a hero. Like, you were blessed, and you're a hero as well to be able to take that type of pain, that type of disrespect, and still be able to move on. So again, I just thank you, my queen. And you love to hold on and stay in queue. That would be great. If you have to go, I definitely respect your time, but you have much love from the West Coalition. You have now adopted a whole Baltimore family. You got all of Baltimore support. Again, before we move on to our next guest, is there any other things you need for us to do to help you out any which way? If you got any petitions or anything else you need us to help you with?
We do have a petition. I will send it to you. I can't even remember what it. I'll make sure I send it to you.
Yeah, make sure you send it to me. And all my 5,000 Facebook friends, please, when I share this petition, please sign it and please share it. That's all I'm asking you to do. Is take a couple minutes, sign this petition and share it. And also, even if you can't donate today, and I plan on making a donation myself, I get a couple dollars, but the Cash App is $ Fred's Mom 13. Fred's Mom
713. 713. It's 713.
713? Did you say 713?
Yes.
Okay, I got it all mixed. I'm glad I've been sending my chain to somebody else. All right, 713. I'm glad something told me to go back over it. Fred's Mom 713.
Yes, that's his birthday, 713.
Oh, all right, awesome. Thank you so much, my queen. If you wanna tune in, please stay in queue and so moving right on. Again, guys, please keep our sister in prayer and thought, because you don't ever want to live through that type of pain. You don't ever want to experience that type of pain. Why should she be experiencing pain like that? That is horrific, horrible, unimaginable. That's torture. That's torture. But thank God, she still do have her beautiful grandbabies. And also, speaking of grandbabies, it was two of my brother Tyrone West children birthdays. His granddaughter, her birthday was on yesterday, and he never got a chance to meet her. And then his other grandson, his youngest grandson, birthday is today. And so it's just sad, as life would go on, we still live through the pain and wondering how would our loved one be if they was here. This father's supposed to be here, in the physical with his children, raising them, but they definitely got a God, because he did a heroic act by giving his life to save a 12-year-old. And God, does everything for a reason. Even through this pain, it's for a reason. So I just thank you, my queen, for being so strong. And make sure you definitely keep in contact, because I know the God we serve has something in store for you that you don't even know about right now. It's gonna blow your mind. I just feel it. It's gonna blow your mind, and it's something definitely, truly, in life of your son. So you definitely want to hit Fred is out here, but Fred is a world hit. So I want to thank Fred. I say Ashe to Fred, and yes, you have a hero. You have a hero, a worldwide hero. Moving right on to my sister, Lakeisha. Just like I'm fighting for accountability for my brother Tyrone, she is fighting for accountability for her brother that was actually murdered, gunned down his vehicle, and I will let her tell you who he was, what happened, and whatever ways we can support our pain. So I'm gonna bring on my sister Lakeisha. Mic check.
Hello, and again, Tawanda, thank you for having me on. As you stated, my name is Lakeisha, and my brother is Lamont Moses, and Lamont was murdered by Newcastle County Police on January 13th, 2021. I want to tell you a little bit about my brother, who he was to me, who he was to my family before I speak on what happened that day today. My brother was like the pillar of our family, the heartbeat, literally. Ever since we were younger, you know, through hard times, he was the one to kind of light up the room, lighten the mood. He took on other people's pain, and he carried everyone's struggles on his back, and tried to do his best to provide financially for everyone. As we got older, I would tell him, you know, okay, we're all getting older now, Lamont. We all can learn how to fend for ourselves. We don't have to carry our burdens no more. But his heart was just so big that he couldn't see us struggle. Lamont was my mom's only son, my only brother. I had 4 other siblings, all girls. He was my only brother. I had so much love and respect for him. Growing up with him was always a joy. He knew everyone. I remember the first day I went to high school, and just knowing, oh, I'm going to high school. My brother already know everybody. It was like I had the red carpet laid out for me because everybody knew me because of him. He was very charismatic, and I don't know, everybody loved him, a peaceful person. This is hard. The night that he was murdered, he was leaving from visiting my mom and my sister. He did that often. Whew. Before he pulled off, he got a pineapple soda from my mom, and then he went to sit in his car. Most likely when he was in his car, he was watching YouTube documentaries. He always did that. Or just trying to get a peace of mind. And he fell asleep. As he was sleeping, 2 officers approached his car. They also called backup for a sleeping man. I don't know why. They broke the plane of his car, which I now know is was a breach of his rights. I learned that from my lawyer. His window was rolled down a little bit, and he had his engine running. I'm assuming his heat going. It was the middle of the winter. And they reached into his car with a baton and turned off his engine. That was the officer on the driver's side. The officer on the right side had his door ajar, his passenger door ajar, and, you know, was flashing a flashlight in there. Ultimately, Lamont ended up waking up, looking kind of confused, startled, like, what's going on? And the officers mentioned, we're just out here looking for stolen cars. We noticed that you were in your car sleeping. Just came to check on you. But their tone was so condescending. Nobody can tell me that they wasn't there for a reason. They was there to do something to my brother. My brother explained to them that he was out there because he was just visiting his mom. His mom lived right there. He kept telling them that over and over. My mom lived right there. The officer on the right, still flashing his flashlight, notices a misdemeanor amount of weed. Actually, weed is decriminalized in Delaware. It was a small amount of weed. Told him, we don't give a shit about that. But officer on the left, on the driver's side, saying, we're just going to pull him out. We're just going to drag him out. And he was like, for what? For, like, what? I'm not doing nothing. I just was sleeping, you know. I just was visiting my mom. So ultimately, you know, you just see him, like, see the tiredness on his face. We actually have report or knowledge of these same department officers, Newcastle County police officers, harassing him continuously. So I just seen the tiredness on his face in the video. I can't really speak to what his thoughts were that day, but knowing my brother, I know he was just like, oh, what is going on now? And ultimately he closed his door, turned his engine back on, and began to driving away from the officer. Where my sister lives, they were doing construction. So where he drove up to was a dead end. He knew this. So, you know, he was turning around, doing a U-turn, ultimately just to try to get away. As he was driving up to the dead end, officers hopped in their car, 3 of them, hopped in their car, their SUVs, and followed him up to the dead end. They parked seemingly, you know, to the left, mostly to the left. And my brother, like, made a complete stop, backed his car up, and steered his car to the right, away from the officer. Just as he was pulling off and passing officer number 1, that's all I know them by, John Doe 1, 2, and 3, because we still don't know their names. Just as he was passing officer number 1, a bullet goes through his driver's side window. We don't have the autopsy, but we had the death certificate, and the death certificate states that he died from a gunshot wound to the side of his head. So we believe that first gunshot from the officer on the left was the fatal gunshot. And from the video, it looks like it was a fatal gunshot, because after that first shot went off, my brother began swerving to the left, and he ultimately crashed into a telephone pole. And as he's crashing into that pole, the second officer, who emerged out of his vehicle, at this point, all 3 officers were out of their vehicle, but the third officer didn't shoot, but the second officer began shooting into the vehicle, and along with the first officer. And from the video, we heard 9 rounds go off. Then the video cuts off. They don't show if they administered any medical attention or anything of that nature. The video is also redacted. We've seen a different video from what they released to the public. You could tell by the lighting, the muting from the where the video begins. We're just dealing with a lot of misconduct with my brother's case. First of all, the officers acted out of policy because they were in an area where we live in Newcastle County, but the area where they were at has their own police department, Wilmington Police Department. And Wilmington Police Department was not on the scene, never approached the scene, even after my brother got shot. They were not privy to the investigation that Newcastle County Police claimed they were doing. Also, Newcastle County Police, before the video, the body-worn camera video was released, they released a false report to the media stating that the reason why they shot my brother was because he sped towards them. But the video clearly refutes that. He didn't even get a chance to get up enough speed. He didn't even get a chance to speed at all. Oh, this is tough. As I stated before, we still don't know the names. We still don't know the names of the officers. There's actually a ban policy for shooting at moving vehicles. So we know that these officers acted out of did not act within policy. The ban clearly states that if the vehicle was not being used as a weapon, that's the only circumstances where they can shoot at a vehicle. But you clearly see that my brother was not trying to harm anyone. He's not that type of person. He has no violent record, none of that. When they released the body cam footage, they released it violently. They made statements about my brother's criminal history, non-violent criminal history at that, almost to criminalize the victim. In this instance, Newcastle County Police was the victim. Was the criminal, and they wanted to desensitize people to the victim, to who they murdered. We've been fighting for justice. Literally a handful of us, about 5 to 10 people, normally consists of myself, one of my other sisters, his wife, Amanda Spence, my fiance, my brother-in-law, and a lady by the name of Keandra McDole, who also lost her brother to police brutality here in Delaware. Her brother's name is Jeremy McDole. And we've been protesting. We protested actually at the chief of police house of Newcastle County. And that very next day, that's when they released the body cam footage. But we're up against the Delaware way. We're up against Delaware keeping things swept under a rug. We're up against Tawanda, like you mentioned. We're up against Leaderboard.
Mm-hmm.
These officers literally have rights that protect them when they are out here murdering our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Just recently here in Delaware, they passed Senate Bill 147 and 148, which enacts or enables every police department to have body-worn camera footage. Body-worn cameras when they're on duty. And they changed the standard for use of force from subjective to objective. So officers can't really say, I killed them because I felt I was in danger. Because literally that's all they have to say, is that they felt they were in danger, and then they will get off. And that's pretty good. But what we really want is for SB 149 to be passed. Because, okay, yeah, y'all passed this standard. And, okay, we get to see our loved ones be killed on camera, but without SB 149, which allows the community review boards so that police are not investigating police and getting each other off. Mm-hmm. Unless we have that piece of it, they still get off. And they just give our families money thinking that that's gonna, that's accountability. And it's not. Mm-hmm. I'm going through the same thing that you're going through, Tanika, as far as people telling me, that I shouldn't protest, it's gonna mess up the lawsuit and things of that nature. But as for me and my family, we don't care about no lawsuit. We want these officers locked up, because had the roles been reversed, our brother would still be dead like he is, or he would be under the jail. Mm-hmm. We met with the Attorney General, Kathleen Jennings. She has the power to prosecute these officers. She has not yet made the commitment to do so. However, when we met with her in April, she told us, as we sat around her table, my whole family, with a room full of tears, that these officers have been charged criminally. These things don't normally come to my desk, things of that nature. Yet last Friday, after we protested at her house, that past Sunday, last Friday, Deputy Attorney General Mark Denny, who's working on the case with her, told me that on April 9th, they will be deciding whether or not these officers will be criminally charged, or if they'll be releasing a report saying that these officers are justified in what they did. And so this is what we're up against. This is what me and my family is up against. We really don't have that much support from the people in our hometown. This is the same hometown that shut down I-95, a major highway, for George Floyd, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. George Floyd deserves his justice. But I can't help but think, what about my brother? Mm-hmm. Who's going to stand for him? Mm-hmm. This is President Joe Biden's home state. He's back and forth here every weekend. Every weekend we getting a news notification to our phone that Joe Biden is coming back in town. So, you know, traffic's going to be slow. But there's no mention of what happened in your own backyard. No mention. The NAACP has sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney General asking for a federal investigation. They did that back in April. Still no word back on that. Still no word back on that. This has been a hurt piece. It really has. His son, my nephew, Amon Moses, wants to know what happened to his dad. His daughter, Lamaje Moses, wants to know what happened to her dad. He has a baby girl who won't even remember her dad because when he died, she was only a couple months old. So this is what me and my family are up against. At this time, we don't really have no organizations truly established. We do have someone working with us. They have a QR code that you can scan, and with that QR code, I believe it goes to a petition, and I'll share that with you through text. And we do have a Facebook page for him, and it's Justice for Lamond, Lymond, Moses, Moses. Black Lives Matter. That's what the whole name is. BLM. That's what the whole Facebook page name is. So if everyone could just follow the hashtag so they can stay up to date on what's going on protests. We are having protests every week until justice is served.
Amen, sis, and I definitely commend y'all for doing that, because you got to do it. I've been having protests for 8 years every single week, and in between there, running to Annapolis and going to town hall meetings and everything else in between. So definitely commend you, and you definitely got support here, and any which way that we can help you. Like I told our sister Tanika, you got a sister for life, so you got my number. Lock me in if you need to cry, if you need anything, a prayer, good words, whatever, anything you need, just make sure you reach out to me. Anything. And I wanna check in real quick just to see if we have any comments or questions. Marcellus, do you have any comments or questions for our queen?
Yes, we do. We have some comments from the previous sister who was online. Somebody posted Jason posted the petition and the Cash App. Hillary says, "These wonderful men should not be gone. Thank you for telling us about them and lifting up their names. There needs to be accountability now." Michael says, Fred's life matters. Justice for Fred. AC Britt on YouTube says, you both have a family in Baltimore now. And AC Britt also says, sending love to this young lady too. Horrible and corrupt. So sorry your family is going through this. Every single police department in this country is rife with misconduct and corruption. They feed a false narrative to the media on purpose to get it into the public's head so they can literally get away with murder. Both of these ladies make me want to take road trips to support them. Delaware needs an effort to repeal LEOBR, and pressure needs to be put on them from now until April. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Queen, do you have anything else you want to share with us? And again, my heart goes out, and I'm just like sorry, and I'm so sorry, my queen.
Thank you. No, I don't have anything else to share.
Okay, you're quite welcome. And also just wanted to let you know, like you said it all right. When you said they try to just give you a check and send you away, that's why I always say it's not about the income, it's about the outcome. And that's why here in Baltimore we actually got a gag order law passed, that says that even if they give you monetary money, you can talk about whoever abused you or killed your loved one in any type of way, and and not jeopardize the money. So just wanted to let you know we've been fighting real hard for these things, and we're gonna constantly continue to fight. And you definitely have our, we have your back, and you have us completely on your side. And if you need us to come out and do like a call for one day for you guys, we'll definitely do it. And I want to check in to see if we have the sad homicide list, like check.
Yes, yep, that's one. I'm here with that. You want to do that now?
Can I say something, sis?
Absolutely, feel free, yes.
Before you do your list, I want to say to Tanika and Lakeisha both that my heart goes out to both of you. My condolences. Tanika, Killer Cop Hill, you need to call them out. I'm going to call it out. Every Killer Cop name. Jackson Melendez and Jason Zimmerman are the killer cops that killed my brother, Timothy Fleming. Marilyn Mosby, I saw you Monday. I know you saw me. I'm calling you out again. I will be back, and the next time I see you, I won't be silent. Better believe that. I was being respectful on Monday because it was the 5-year commencement for Corinne Gaines. All these killer cops need to be called out. Don't be afraid to call these killer cops out. If you know their names, call them out. Because like you said, they are at home with their families, and our loved ones are gone. They're gone. They're not going to come back. They're at home with their family, kids hugging on them, loving on them. Our nieces and nephews, kids don't have any parents or father anymore. I don't have a brother anymore. You don't have a son anymore. Lakeisha doesn't have a brother anymore. My sister Tawana doesn't have a brother anymore. So we're going to call them out. Blocks for killer cops. All killer cops cell blocks. Mike Shane.
Michael Shane Hill.
That's right. Call his name out. Say his name again. Michael what?
Detective Michael Shane Hill.
Right. Killer Cop Hill. You know who you are.
Killer Cop Hill belongs in the cell block. Absolutely.
There you go. Mic check.
Mic check. And before we read the list, I wanted to also just thank all 3 of my queens, my sisters, and Angela, I thank you for extending your love, because I know you're still in your grief period, and I just thank you. Like, she literally rode 5 hours on Monday just to come support Corinne Gaines' family, to come support my family, to come support all of us while she's still grieving and needing support. So, like I said, Queen, you got a sister for life. We will always lift up Timothy Fleming's name. We will always lift up all of our loved ones' name, Fred's name, all of our names. The moment name, we're going to lift up each and every name. And like you said, we are going to call these killer cops out.
We need to
use their job. We're going to keep on in the cell block.
I'm sorry, sis. When you're ready to protest at High Point, call me. I'll be there. But that's shameful of them. That's very disgusting of that church to not even give you a call or send you a flower. How despicable of them. That is, what's the name of that church? I can't hear you, sis. Your mic is, you're muted.
Living Waters Baptist Church.
Living Waters Baptist Church, y'all ought to be ashamed of y'all.
Shame.
Disgusted by your
shame
of himself, okay? We call it everybody. I'm not afraid to call these people out.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to call them out. You need to call them out. You ready to protest that call me sis. I'm supposed to be there. I'm not from North Carolina. Mike check.
Mic check. Yes. And again, thank you for that. Our queen is definitely calling them out. Like, we need this because at the end of the day, like, we shouldn't even be to a point that we have to call our people that murdered our loved ones, and to actually hear you guys talking about your loved ones, your son, your brother being murdered. It opens up a wound in all of us. I know my sister, Angel, heart is bleeding right now. Just feeling your pain. That's opening up the pain for her brother Timothy. So it's just really sad. We gotta check it back, and we gonna do this. We're gonna hold up Lamar's name, we're gonna hold up all of our loved ones' names. Fred's name, like these are our loved ones, Tyrone, Timothy, Keith Davis Jr., like all of them. Corinne Gaines, India Kager, all of them. And just like my sister Ishtown Robinson said, I wanna definitely always lift her name up. She lost 2 of her kids. And she is so powerful that she don't even talk about her own kids because she's so busy saying every case matters. Every case. She's not just thinking about, like you said, sister, when you said they shut down Mr. George Floyd and they, like, what about your brother? That's insane. Like, we gotta feel like they're like, there's always like, and I really felt like, they should have. And like you said, but it's just sad when it happens in your own hometown, nobody's standing out there for you. Before Freddie Gray, there was Tyrone West. Before Tyrone West, there was Anthony Anderson. You get what I'm saying? There was Kevin Cooper, who was killed, a 14-year-old baby killed in front of his mom face with a hole in the dustpan. Gunned down right in front of his mom face while she's holding her grandchild. Like, this is real. And they think we just supposed to walk away. Hell no, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere till they reopen the cases. And I don't know if you queens know about the event that's happening in D.C. on the 28th. Where we're demanding that they reopen the cases. I urge y'all to come out there, and I'm definitely gonna connect y'all to other groups because, like I was telling my sister, Angela, that I wish I would have met her like a month or two before, because also with another coalition group, we're gonna be in solidarity with all the victims' family. We're gonna be doing a big trip in September, the end of September, early October. To uplift it. I'm gonna make sure I take you guys' loved ones with me, so don't even worry about it. But any other, I don't want to welcome anybody into this club, but I'm just letting y'all know whenever I hear anything, any more things, activities, whatever, healing moments, healing spaces, I'm gonna make sure I send you guys all that information so we can bond and we can grow, because we got each other back. Just like my brother Boom always say, we all we got, we all we need. So Marcellus, just to check in real quick, do we have any more comments or questions before we move on to the sad list?
Yeah, we have a couple comments.
Okay.
On Facebook, Charlene says, call them out, Angela. And AC says, justice for Lemon Moses. Hashtag BLM on Facebook. Love to Angela Sutton. And hashtag reopen the cases. Mic check.
Mic check. Yes. So again, I don't get any joy out of talking about lists that are real, but the reason why it's important to me to have these lists in this space so that people can realize this stuff is real. This is reality. Someone had their loved one today or yesterday, and their loved one is no longer here from senseless violence, or even purging, as I would call it, because all this is not senseless violence. That's my opinion. It's not the pains of the West Coalition. This is Tawanda Jones being in her feelings and looking at how dirty and corrupt this system is. And it's just ironic that when it comes to Black and brown folks getting murdered, it's always unsolved cases. But whenever it's a Caucasian person murdered, they quick to try to find out who the killer is. And that's just horrible. I guess it's horrible. Like you say, your brother case is a cold case. How do a murder case become cold? That means you have no interest in solving it. And that's disgusting.
That's
right. Disgusting. It should not be a damn cold case. I don't care how many years it happened. It should not be a cold case. And the saddest part, they're probably sitting right there on their desk collecting dirt, don't want to get the killer. Because the killer might be them. Killer might be one of them. You know, they replaced their white robes, let's be clear, they replaced their white suits. And they be all suited up, the KKK to the Ku Klux Klan. You know, it's just like modern day lynching is real. They replaced from hanging us from a tree, they replaced that from putting bullets in our back and beating us to death in broad daylight. Yeah. And then these house row Negroes, you know, that kill me, and God forgive me, I'm sorry, I have no filter, I'm gonna call them out. That's just me, that's me being real. You know, you have these house Negroes that know where we came from, know our pain, know what we're going through, and you can actually sit in a business suit and parade around like ain't nothing wrong. Guess what? Shame on you. Shame on you. So as we go into the sadness of the homicides in our cities that just constantly going in all the media, and this is just not a Baltimore thing, even though we're reading off Baltimore City homicides, right? But this is a worldwide thing. I'm quite sure you guys got a long list in your city. Each and every last one of your cities and states have these long lists of black and brown folks and a few Caucasian folks, you know, that are being murdered. But it's just sad, but they know what they're doing. And it's strategically done and they don't care. It's, to me, modern day lynching in a purge form where it's okay, you know, for the most part, you know, let them kill each other. We don't give a damn type of thing. And in between that, we're going to kill a couple too. That's just how I feel about it. That's my thing. You know, in the same way you guys are searching for accountability, I am still searching for accountability for my cousin Tavon Anderson, who was gunned down in cold blood on the beginning of this year, January the 20th. January the 20th, my cousin was gunned down in his damn car. No accountability, nothing. We have more questions than answers, and I'm gonna always uplift his name in this space, as well as all the victims of homicides, the victims of police brutality, because to me, it's that highway of hell. No matter what street or lane you take, you're going there. You're going there. And it's our folks, the ones that are dying and getting murdered. It's our folks that are the ones that don't got air conditioning in the school. They passing them through, not teaching them nothing, letting them drop out. It's horrible. It's lynching on every level. It's lynching in the education department. It's lynching in the food that they feed our families. It's lynching in every angle that we turn. So as we listen to this horrible list this week, and pray that it's nobody, and praying for the families, but you just never know. Don't wait till your loved one name is on this list, or even you are on this list, before we take a direct action and say enough is enough. And how they play us is they want to make the police brutality, and it burns me up when people say, well, I wish there was a whole lot of outrage when homicides are, you know, in the community happen. It is the same outrage. My sister Erica does ceasefire, Charlene does ceasefire, running for justice. We all in this together. You know, you gotta know your lanes. Like, I never chose police brutality, but however, I was pushed down this lane, and guess what? I'm gonna uplift all the victim names of police brutality and murder. And murder includes homicides. Murder includes all homicides, not just police brutality. Let's be clear on that. So again, my heart goes out. Let's take a minute, just pray if you pray, to lift them up in thought as we hear this horrible lesson. Let's just take 1 minute, guys. Starting now. Thank you again for taking a minute of silence, a moment of silence. So we're ready for the sad list. Mic check.
Mic check. Thanks, Twanda. Before I do this part, I just wanted to thank Angela for having the courage and the strength to let us know the name of the cop who killed her loved one. I'm sure she doesn't want that in her mouth at any time. I'm sure that, you know, the farther away she could put all of that, the better she would feel. But, you know, knowing these things gives us strength to carry on the fight. So I want to thank her for doing that for us and letting us help her in that way. So, as Tawanda said, this is something that I do to fight the violence that, you know, we have, that is in this system. And, you know, she's here, you know, every week fighting for accountability for police violence, but there's so many other forms of violence that we need accountability for. We need the accountability for people who can't get food. We need accountability for kids who go to schools that have metal detectors but not air conditioners. We need accountability for gentrification and ghettoization and lack of medical care and so many things. And so many of these things, the toll comes taken out of the community in terms of violence, and that violence, every life that's taken is a whole world. It's an entire it's a community that's shattered. It's a family, it's friends, it's co-workers, and all of these people are shattered by this violence. And so we lift up the names in hopes of some healing. And so if you could just, I'm going to read off the names, and if you would just, you know, might check them back to me, that would be, you know, that would be something for us to do in their memory. Jaquan Purvis, 37.
Jaquan Purvis, 37.
Corey Drake, 33.
Corey Drake, 33.
Trayvon Hopkins, 29.
Trayvon Hopkins, 29.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, and I appreciate you, Brother Brian, because I know that it's heartbreaking to even have to bring names into a space. And then I'm quite sure that that's not all, even though he read that small amount, but it has to update. So again, my heart goes out. And then the saddest part, a lot of people don't know that with all these homicides that are taking place, a lot of folks can't even bury their loved ones. Like, they're forced to make, like, you know, because nobody plans on burying their loved one. You plan on spending the rest of your life with your family and friends, and you might in your mind say, well, you know what, I'm gonna go and get me some life insurance or whatever, but then you put it off or whatever, or a bill comes up because we're in this pandemic, and then you don't pay it, then now you're gone, and then now your family's forced to go do a GoFundMe and everything. So I just urge everybody that, you know, the same way we, you know, do insurance for our cars and things like that, we need to definitely do little life insurance policies for our family and loved ones, because no one wants to make that horrible thing, go through that horrible process. You can't even, like, get your mind straight because you're actually trying to plan a funeral. And then on top of that, now you're forced to say, well, okay, and some people's case, they like to do the cremation thing, that's fine, but then in some cases they want to bury their loved ones, you know, and then they can't because they're like, okay, I don't have enough money. So just wanted to throw that out in the air, and just, like, we're just in sad times. A lot of people are suffering from depression. Like, even though we have an open mic and we speak, a lot of times people suffer in silence. They're not speaking.
That's right.
They're not speaking. And I'm asking everybody, please, if you're going through anything right now, please don't suffer in silence. That's the worst thing to do right now. That is the suicide rate is up, and when you see babies, children that are suffering from, you know, just depression, it blows your mind. Like, you'd be surprised who suffers from depression. And don't say it ain't you or whatever. You know, it could be you, it could be your own child. Check on your children. You have no idea. Make it so that they're able to check in with you or somebody that they trust. If they go through something, let them know that they're not going through. Because we're in a cold world right now. I'm just sorry, like, it's beautiful, but you have a lot of people now that are so angry, so mean, and just acting out and being so mean, and people can't take that stuff. And we talking about our young babies that have to get, they're forced now in a pandemic to actually go back to school, and they're forcing them back fast. It used to be like last year when they was online, it was going back after the holiday. Now they got our babies going back at the end of the summer, August the 31st, like they're back first day of school, like really? And then now this new, part of the coronavirus that's going on, and then now everybody's suffering all this cough and same upper respiratory problems and things like that. It's real. It is real. And it's only gonna get realer. So we just gotta support each other in whichever way we can, but don't let nobody, and don't be that person suffering in silence. Like, don't be afraid to talk to someone. Find that one person that you can trust and get it out, because you don't want that thing to kill you. Because guess what? Some days you might feel like you're on top of the world and everything is working, and then that next day or that same moment, you can feel like you underneath the world, you cannot breathe. And we gotta balance that thing out with love. We gotta support and call on each other. Like, call on somebody, but do not suffer in silence. That's the worst way. Like, that can lead you to doing drugs, lead you to overeating, just lead you to literally killing yourself physically, mentally. Like, it can cause sickness, it can cause cancer in your body. You can be so healthy, like, and for me to hear that my sister father her child literally had a heart attack, that stuff is real. I guarantee you he was fine. He couldn't take that. Heart pain is real. Like, that brings your pressure up, all that stuff. So just make sure, if you don't check on yourself, you can't check on nobody. Make sure that you're okay. Make sure that you're eating right. Make sure that you're not holding these things in. Make sure that you have somebody to call. If you can't call nobody, call me, please. Call me, please. Like, call me. So before we move on, I want to know, do we have the sad police brutality list?
I have that list. There's 8 people on the list murdered by the police between July 25th and July 27th. There's a few unidentified people on the list, so I'll give their the information that has been identified about them and where they're from. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started with the sad list of police victims. The first name was the first person was an unidentified man on July 25th in Crowley, Louisiana. Keep the family in your thoughts as we uplift this person. Next, on July 26th, a man named Jacob Bender, age 39, from Gobbles, Michigan.
Jacob Bender.
On July 26th, in Los Angeles, California, another unidentified man. So keep his family in your thoughts, as we are unable to uplift him by name. On July 27th, in Riverside, Ohio, 39-year-old Kevlin Wallace.
Kevlin Wallace.
In Calumet City, Illinois, a 55-year-old man was shot on the 27th of July. Lazardo Lucas.
Lazardo Lucas.
Also on the 27th, in Las Vegas, Nevada, an unidentified male was also killed by the police on the 27th. So keep his family in your thoughts, as we are unable to uplift him by name. On July 27th, in Dalton, Illinois, 19-year-old woman, Alexis C. Wilson.
Alexis C. Wilson.
Alexis Wilson.
And the last person on the list, July 27th in Westfield, Pennsylvania, an unidentified man was killed by the police. So keep his family in your thoughts as we are unable to uplift them by name. And that's everybody on the sad list. I would also like to put out, a reminder that tonight is our monthly challenge discussion. I will be leading the challenge, and we'll be discussing some of the issues and brutality abroad, when dealing with what's going on in Haiti. Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check. So again, before we close out, I just want to give virtual big hugs to my sister Tanika, to my sister Lakeisha, to my sister Angela, and just to everybody on here and everybody that's going through something. And never ever forget our loved one, our hero Fred Cox, our hero Lamont Moses, like our hero Tyrone West, like our hero Timothy Fleming, Jamal Taylor, Anthony Anderson. The list goes on. Our queens that were murdered, slain, Corrine Gaines, still praying for that family. And again, I want to, like I said, throw Corrine Gaines' family out there, because that is sad when you win a verdict by a jury of your peers. You won this. Like, you didn't sell out, you won. And for Johnny O to say, you know what, we're not going to do anything. Johnny O must go, and he needs to take all these corrupt people with him. Anybody that got anything corrupt, he needs to take David Fowler, that resigned from the medical examiner's office. He needs to take him with him. He needs to take all these jokes and folks with him. Because guess what? You might feel like you're getting away with bloody murder down here, because guess what? If you're not prosecuting killer cops, you are a part of the problem. If you're not prosecuting these dirty judges, lawyers, prosecutors, you are a part of the problem. And guess what? Everybody got to answer to somebody. Everybody got to answer to somebody. And I don't wish bad luck or anything, but I do wish you karma. So I hope whatever you did to somebody, I hope you get it back double for your trouble. So if you're doing good, I hope you get double blessings. If you're doing some cruddy stuff, I hope you get double for your trouble. That's my prayer. And I want y'all to pray for me until I get right, because like I'm sick of it. Like, it's to the point, like, no mother should have to go through this type of pain. So again, I want to thank all our guests tonight. I want to thank Tanika. I want to thank Lakeisha. I want to thank my sister Angela. I just want to thank the West Coalition. I just want to thank all the viewers that are watching us, that took the time, because y'all could have been watching anything else. I want to thank my brother Ben, who actually is the man before and behind the movement. I want to thank Marcellus for your time. I want to thank the Hellabacks. I want to thank everybody from the West Coalition running for justice. I want to thank Miss Smoke. The list goes on. Shutting down Shorty, JC, like, boom, everybody. Like, the list goes on. I just want to thank each and every last one of you, and let you guys know that we love you. And I want to check in to see if we have any more comments, questions from anybody on our panel right now. Mic check.
We have a comment on YouTube from AC Britt. AC Britt says we need these political trauma vultures out of office. And Charlene says love and care going out to the impacted families of community homicide. Mic check.
Mic check. Absolutely. And definitely love going out to the impacted families, because nobody family should feel this type of pain. And I want to check in one last time before I make my closing comments. Do any of my sisters want to say anything before we wrap up? Mic check.
Miss Tanika, I just want to again thank you and your platform for having me on your show. I will also keep you all in prayer, and as y'all I'm sure will keep me in prayer and my grandkids, my whole entire family. We are struggling pretty bad. And I also want to remind y'all, like you said, there's no harm in getting help. I won't tell anybody I'm okay. Find someone you can talk to. Go to counseling. I've never had anxiety. I have anxiety. I mean, I'm not afraid of these things. So don't, I won't say don't, try not to kill yourself trying to get this justice. We have to stay strong because we have to keep on with the fight. If we don't fight, no one else will fight.
That's right.
I appreciate everyone.
I just want to say thank you, Tawanda, for having me here in your space, for the opportunity to lift my brother Lamont Moses' name up, and I will be praying for all of you.
Thank you so much, Queen. And thank both of y'all so much. So Lamont forever has a space. Fred forever has a space. You guys always have a space, even though it's a space that we never asked for. But if y'all doing any demonstrations and y'all need us to show up, send me the information. If I gotta take a road trip, guess what? I'm there. I'm there with y'all. So.
I'll be there.
Go ahead, Angela. I'm sorry.
Oh no, Sister Tawana, I just said I'll be there. You know that. I'll be there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She gonna gas her baby up, and she definitely will be there. She gonna gas the Black Beauty up, and she will be there. That's for sure. So again, I just want to, like I said, thank Tanika, Lakeisha, my sister Angela, the West Coalition. I want to thank everybody, Runners for Justice, just everybody out there, Charlene, Adina, just everybody. Remember, live to love, love to live. I love you all. And again, I will repeat myself, do not suffer in silence. Like my sister, and I respect her the most for saying that she's not okay. And that takes a lot of bravery, because everybody, first thing when somebody say, good morning, how you feeling? Everybody, I'm good, I'm okay. She is happy to say that she's not okay, and that is fine. That is beautiful.
That's right.
That is beautiful. Because a lot of people say, I'm okay, and even sometimes when people ask me, I'm screaming and crying in the inside, and the first thing I'll say is I'm okay, because I try to do good talk, to try to talk myself through some of the pain and anxiety that I be going through. But if you're not okay, it is okay to say that you're not okay, and that's fine. And again, ladies, like I said, y'all have my number. Y'all can text me, call me. Don't hesitate. And I'm gonna get my sister Angela and talk about, I'm not gonna text you today. I'm gonna, girl, text me all day, any day, every day. So again, live to love, love to live. Remember, this is a day that we have never seen before. Unfortunately, it's a day that we will never ever see again. So make every day your best day. Always live in integrity. Always live with respect. Because guess what? Treat a person the way you want to be treated. Because just because you're not feeling pain and trauma like all of us that are sharing with you, you just never know. And I don't wish this on anyone, but you just never know. You might get that same call or no call, but something might happen and change your life forever. And you might need people to listen to you. So be your own conscious consumer. Do not believe the television. Believe the voices that are here, right here in this space, to tell you they murdered my loved ones. They killed my loved ones. And this is not it. And we need to do something about it. And it's more than, I'm not just doing this. It doesn't feel good to relive this nightmare week after week, day after day. But everything is for a reason. And our biggest reason, we want cell blocks for killer cops. It said that a sister's walking around and all she could tell you is killer cop 1, 2, and 3 killed her brother. Like, that is disgusting. But had her brother would have killed 1, 2, and 3, you would have knew his whole name, identity, everything. Let's be crystal clear. And any black person in the community does something, they put our face on the news. Oh, he is the #1 enemy, public enemy #1. But when a Caucasian person kills somebody, a serial goddamn killer, we don't even see their face.
Right.
We don't even see their face.
That's right.
And I'm gonna leave y'all on that note. Love you guys. Stick in, for part 2 of this horrible video, and the part that makes me sad is there are 2 loved ones in this video in my family that are no longer here. I'm sending love out to my Uncle Clifton. You will see him. He has on the tan color hat. He's in this video. He actually died from a broken heart as well. He wound up getting cancer when we could not get accountability for Tyrone West. He wound up starting up getting stressed. He got so much of stress it turned into a stomach ulcer. That's why I said take care of yourself. Him crying and being a grown man, and that's his first nephew, and his nephew is actually murdered by people that's supposed to serve and protect. My Uncle Clifton wound up getting a stomach ulcer that wound up turning pretty much cancer. Well, it didn't turn cancerous. John Hopkins actually is responsible for my uncle's death because he went back. He got sort of something that's a little procedure done to his tummy, and they sort of took it out, and they didn't clean him out properly, and they left stuff inside of him. That's how they do black folks. Let's be crystal clear. My uncle was big on his goddamn health, and to see him actually suffer, shame on John Hopkins Hospital. I said it. I'm calling all y'all out. Shame on Hopkins because they left something up and they made my uncle go through 3 different surgeries and kept leaving stuff. How do you make a man go through 3 surgeries where it knocks him off his feet for weeks and he recover and keep on fighting back, and then that stuff turn cancerous and mess up all his organs and kill my uncle? He's no longer here. He was in that video. And my cousin Tavon, you don't see him, but he's in the crowd. We're talking to the white padded. We're in his office, and you hear my auntie crying and screaming. At the end of this, my cousin Tavon Anderson, who was executed, leaving our family with no answers, more questions than answers. He was in this video, and he's no longer here. So I'm throwing him in the atmosphere, and I'm also throwing my grandmother, and I'm throwing all of our loved ones in the atmosphere right now. Love you guys. Thank you. I'm sorry we ran over. I don't even know what time it is because my computer died. I don't have my TV on. So thank you guys. I love you. Live to love to live. I love you all. Sending you virtual love. And I'll be letting you guys know we're going to do the next action outdoor. Mic check. And then also, before I leave and I'm gone this time for real, we still need to know who murdered Brother Lee. Nicholas Lee was executed in Giants, a Muslim brother, a community young brother. At the age of 24, he played instruments. He was amazing. This was an angel on earth. He goes into Giants supermarket, him and his family, his wife and his baby. They go into Giants to go shopping, grocery shopping, and executed him, and they're hiding this person. We don't know if it's a female, we don't know if they're black, white, Chinese, we don't know anything. All we know is what the media is saying, that it was a security guard. It was a security guard that executed Brother Nicholas Lee. I feel like the next action again, we need to take it back. We need to take it all the way back in front of that Giants. That front of that Giants again. We will be back there soon because why ain't nobody talking about it? I'm gone. So don't forget Brother Lee. We should shut that Giants down, literally. Right. We don't really shut it down. Don't spend $1 in there until they release who killed Brother Lee. We don't even know if this killer cop is sitting at home with his family, and he probably is, he or she probably is, because they ain't announced any criminal charge. You do a criminal act, but there's no criminal charge. So I'm just uplifting that brother. Mic check. Live to love to live. Love you all. See you guys next week for West Wednesday at 420 weeks next week. Mic check.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015. My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped. Case number 5. Unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016. Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges.
Says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working and working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam, and my sister Dina and her family. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.